Um, damn it, damn it, damn it. Get off me. The Scion asset portfolio by Michael Burry, when you look at this, it's obvious that he was the first big investor to get into GameStop before Cohen. But when I was looking at him and trying to examine for bearish strategies, because I don't know what I'm doing, I got curious because I'm a meme stomp guy. I got in January. So I started looking Taylor brands and I was curious. Men's Warehouse, okay, so they've been around, they're doing okay. And they're doing bad during COVID. Okay, let's. And then as I went down, I'm like, well, what does this place invest in? That's weird. So they emptied all of their positions. That's neat. But they're still holding volume in this fund. And this fund, even though it's filed, doesn't have volume, but it's invested. So I got curious on IFP advisors and this. And if I was just going to go and open this portfolio, right, and just put it on the half screen, and then I'll do a side comparison so that we open OFP.
Hmm.
And just curious, because as I look through this Knights of Columbus fund, this is like the who's who of American companies. Like everything is on this. And so, okay, that makes sense. Invest in a all cap index. That makes Burry's in it. So I got curious. Is GameStop on this? Okay, yeah, GameStop is here. When did they get in GameStop? They got in GameStop on January 31st. And I don't know IFP. Barclays, that's their first thing. I see a bunch of banking and MViz, that's there. So these guys got stuff, right? But if I come over here and I just do a search for GME in the IFP portfolio, I noticed a strange similarity that will kind of expose me to an idea. My browser's being really slow right now. There it goes. And so if I look for GME in their portfolio, this stood out to me quite a bit. Why you are lagging, aren't you? Is that when these guys got in before 31st, because that's the reporting period, these guys had obviously gotten in after because they're at a later reporting period. But we also have April 1st, 21st for 130. Okay, that's normal. That's this year current. But we have this January 21st, 2022 $4 call. That struck out to me as weird. That was weird. Okay, so we have a long-term, really low call going on. That's okay. That's weird. I don't know why these guys aren't playing derivatives. Let's look up another stock that we love. Movies. Everybody loves movies. Oh, these guys love movies. Okay. Let's see if this fund loves movies. I mean, we love movies. They've existed for hundreds of years, you know? So when we look up, there's a huge similarity between each of these that I am about to bring up that these guys have invested after this fund did, and that each of these that I'll bring up, we have 11, 16, 18 on a 331 filing, 522.20, and we have a 618.21. So that one's really current. That's this week. But how can 11 and 16, 18 filing be on a current one? I don't understand. I'm stupid, so we'll just keep going. Ape's retarded. I like to get high on my farts and stuff. So I'm gonna come over here. What's one that I really, uh, I liked that one. Oh, they liked that one too. Neat. Okay, that's easy. So maybe we were smart. We were like, we're thinking with the bearish people. What about these guys? Are they bearish? And this is simple. As I present this common thread and tell you that two coincidences are not a coincidence, that we have July 12th, 19 calls at 11:05. These guys have calls on an underlying that this stock owns. What's one of these weird things that was publicized that we didn't believe, right? I know that Clove was owned by Chelsea Clinton, and that most people don't like that idea. And I don't know if most people like. I know that the ones I know. So they own Clovis. Let's see if these guys own Clovis or Clove. I'm just curious. Are they copying these guys and this is an investment strategy? I'm not sure. Load, sucker. It's being slow. There it goes. Oh, gee, Clove is owned by them. When you think of any of the situations that you're like, man, that was not a real squeeze. If we literally just look for it on in Burry's investment and then look for it on this IFP advisors, we're going to see a huge similarities that I dare say the ones that have been overly publicized on the media to where all of us apes that have been here since the beginning of 2020, right? We kind of had an understanding of which ones we believed in. And that's weird. These guys got into Nokia at 331.21. They never did. Damn, so we have a trend here. All right, well, let's ignore that. I'm getting off basis, right? My main theory here was I was just going to look at Scion Asset Management's portfolio and decide my strategy. I want to learn what a bear does in a bearish time. So when I come over here and examine, all right, we got a couple calls on companies that he really likes. Those are companies. And he's got calls on this treasury bond. Okay, so he sees positioning on the treasury. That's pretty bearish. You know, he's expecting inflation. This makes sense. That's smart. And then he's got puts on these other treasury bonds. I don't know why, but he's still trying, okay, maybe I can understand. Now, I didn't know what any of these other companies were at all whatsoever. So what I did was I opened them all, right? And there was this interesting thing that I noticed on all of them is that essentially when you go through the repo participants agreement list, that you're going to kind of find them all in here. That's Meredith Corporation, right? And then the other one, I opened them all. We have the same list of institutional holders on all of these stocks. Now that's a weird coincidence. Okay, now institutional market makers, they invest in everything, right? So let's not get weird. That's not weird. But I mean, why would Burry invest in all the market makers things if he's expecting bearish, right? And so I was looking at the IFP idea that maybe it was attacking Burry's portfolio. And so what I did was all of the underlying Scion asset management holdings, I just did a simple search for IFP. And what I noticed was there are only two of these underlyings that have positions held by IFP. And the rest, when you look at them, IFP has zero volume, and I don't understand how that's doable. So we have a separation in the Scion portfolio, and we'll do this by the basis of which which underlyings IFP has positions in, and which ones they are listed on and have no positions. Go through the list. This is a common thread and two similarities. I can get that, but two coincidences are not a coincidence. Now, it's funny because there's only two things on the list that do not have IFP on there, and that is Marinus Pharmaceuticals and Parallax Volatility. Okay, and that's funny, parallax. When we had really done history on the treasury bonds and we connected that to Palifax, right? There's essentially you would have to think that that clearinghouse is designated for that. So when we go through our actual super stonk DD, you will notice that this is a term and a holding that has been brought up before. Now, when I got curious of seeing IFP funds on all of these market maker listing holding companies, what is why did Burry buy into these? I don't know. So let me look at IFP at what this company is, right? And when you look, they're not worth that much money. I mean, they got a couple ETFs, a couple banks, a lot of the indexes and the bond portfolios, but their highest earning position is this weird GWGL bond, 2 years, 550. And it's weird because it's such substantial size about the rest. I got curious, right? What's a L bond? I don't know what L bond is. I've never heard of it. But IFP is they're the only ones receiving it. Huh. So if we ask Google, what is a GWGL bond? It's a specialty high yield bond issued by GWG Holdings, based in Dallas. Life insurance contracts. When you look it up more, well, I'll go ahead and pick up Investopedia. And this is what Investopedia says. They're high volatility and their ratings are not moderated yet, the same way that the real estate ratings on those bonds were able to fly through. So when I look up GWGH and I'm curious on their position, like who is this company that is issuing these L bonds that IFP is soaking up and they're connected to Parallax. Parallax is connected to the institutional holdings of Ken Griffin and the registered bank statements in the man, which stonk was it? It was the Citadel is shorting the U.S. Treasury that was released 2 weeks ago. That's where we linked Palafox, and recently we linked Parallax. But when you look into this, there's only two names on the company that owned over 50% of the company that are issuing these L bonds, right? So even at that, if we were going to go ahead and I have no way to show you the option spread without exposing my bank account, but the GME call for January 21st, 2022, when I went to the GME spread and looked at those low break calls, there's weird action in the derivatives there. And when I looked into HYG, the corporate bond ETF, and I looked at that if there are synthetics on the corporate bond, okay, well, let me look at January 21st, 2022, and look at the derivative spread, expanded all the way. Okay, let's look at TBT, the treasury bond, right? Geez, look at January 21st, 2022. Now, if there are synthetics on these bonds, like we have proven they are, and the filing that was filed on, I almost want to file it up because I have no way to expose my this data. I can link it, and these guys can put it with the video after. But it was the filing on the DTCC on the 15th of this month that what it did was it made a change to the ownership of the derivative to stay um, to attributed to one name, which is the owner of the underlying, until the buyer of the derivative executes. And so what that will do, since that was filed before the 10-day waiting period, if we have proven there is a bubble on HYG, there is a bubble on these L bonds, and there's this commonality date of if synthetics exist on two bonds at the same time, we're talking really bad news. And in the end of it, it is literally, well, I have to find it. I've got so many tabs open. Scion, that's the L bonds. This is the key of the entire next bubble. And that's it. I mean, we can be found on the discords, and this has to be looked at immediately. Because when you look at, I mean, I'll even go through the funds to show you what I was looking at. The Oil Tanker Company and Meredith are the only two funds that IFP is actually holding. Um, and this is a man, it all connects to, I really believe that there has been a trash bond connected to each type of bond market. And this is really bad. And if anybody can come together and help me investigate GWGH, these life insurance bonds that are being overrated, and there's a lot going on here in the backgrounds with this holdings company that we have linked to Citadel and linked to Parallax. This is all a big thing. But I am showing you there is a bubble on the life insurance bonds. And if our friend Burry is showing us there is a bubble on the Treasury, then just by analyzing positions in Scion Asset Management, we can look at the spread between where IFP has holdings and examine why, literally why, this portfolio chose to go bearish on its specific picks. And with that said, I believe that we're being spoken to in a way that needs to show us what is going to happen when synthetics are driven from the market, that we will show that synthetics have always been there and that corruption cannot be allowed to come to light. And through this DD, I really hope that I incur research and educational communication and discussion, and that there is no more splitting among the apes, you guys. Because if I am right, the only way we, the unmovable force, can do anything is unified. So with that said, I've been around since January. I bought in at the 27 to $360. I emptied my portfolio on Monday because I found the bubbles. I bought in at AMC at 1650 with the second stimulus, and I held those fucking diamond nuts this entire time. So when I bring this to you, know that I sat here the whole time holding my original shares at negative 95%. So I am the definition of diamond balls who want nothing from you guys. I do not say sell. I say help me investigate. I love you guys. And that's really all I got to share.